Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology, and today I am going to cover a very different kind of topic. So if the planets are fixed in particular houses in our horoscope, then regardless of this placement, can we change our destiny? Is it possible to change our destiny? Can man change his destiny by his own efforts and defeat what is predestined? Is this possible? Let us try and understand this in this video. In this video, we will also see whether self effort can change one's destiny or whether our past karma alone determines our destiny. Om Namah Shivaya. So now this is a basic chart of a person born with the Gemini ascendant. In this case, at the time of his birth, the sign of Gemini or Mithun was rising on the eastern horizon. Okay, and therefore it is his first house, also known as the Lagna or the ascendant, denoted by the letters LA here in this diagram. Now we know that the first house represents a person himself, his personality. Okay, and what is the house exactly opposite the first house? It is the seventh house. So what does the seventh house in Vedic astrology indicate? It indicates your spouse, it indicates your married life, it indicates your partnerships. So in a way, the seventh house always complements the first house. That is, you become a complete person only because of your spouse in most cases. If you have a supportive spouse, life can be a wonderful journey. And if you have a bad spouse, life can become miserable. So we see that the first house and the seventh house complement each other. Now, similarly, let us look at the fourth house and the 10th house. The 10th house indicates your career, your profession. So if you are doing very well in your career, you will mostly have a lot of happiness in life. You will have a lot of property, you will have a lot of vehicles, and that is shown by the fourth house. So in a way, the fourth house and the 10th house complement each other. Now let us look at the fifth house. The fifth house is the house of your past punya or your past good deeds in your previous lives. It also indicates the kind of children you get in this life. It is the house which indicates love and speculative gains. And what is the house bang opposite the fifth house? If you see this red line, it shows you that the 11th house is bang opposite the fifth house. So what is the 11th house all about? The 11th house is about hopes, aspirations, wishes, desires, your network circle of friends, as well as the gains that you get. It is also called as Labhasthan. So what does this mean? It means that if you have done good deeds in your past life, you will have a strong fifth house. So you will get good children in this life, and consequently, you will also get a lot of love in this life from your friends, from your children, and that eventually translates into gains. Now let us look at the sixth house. The sixth house is the house of diseases, conflicts, litigations of daily routine. And what is the house bang opposite this house? It is the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of bed pleasures. It is the house of isolation. It is the house of moksha. It is the house of liberation. Okay, so in a way, the 12th house and the 6th house complement each other. Now let us move to the main topic. So we have seen that in astrology, the house bang opposite, that is the 7th house from a particular house, will always complement that house. Now, which house in Vedic astrology represents self-effort? It represents hard work. It represents the efforts you put in to complete a task. it is nothing but the third house. The third house in Vedic astrology represents your siblings, it represents your neighbors, and most importantly, it represents your capacity to put in efforts to achieve any task. And this is the most important house in the horoscope. Now comes the important concept, which is the house bang opposite the third house. Look very carefully, you can see a purple line. Okay, the house bang opposite the third house is the ninth house. And what is the ninth house representing in Vedic astrology? It represents your gurus, your teachers, your good fortune, your good luck, your long distance journeys, pilgrimages. All this is seen from the ninth house. The ninth house also represents foreign journeys. So the ninth house represents bhagya or good luck. And when do you get good luck? When your third house is very strong, that is when you are putting in a lot of efforts, automatically your destiny, your good fortune, or your luck gets activated. That is, the third house is the house which complements the ninth house. In other words, your capacity to put in efforts to achieve a task, or the amount of efforts you put in, that is what complements your destiny. That is, your destiny depends on the efforts that you put in to achieve a task. And so, if you want to have good fortune, if you want to have good luck, it is very essential that you put in a lot of efforts to achieve your goals, regardless of where the planets are placed in your horoscope. Because the minute you start activating your efforts, your luck automatically starts getting activated. Now, the fourth house is second from the third house, and the fourth house represents what? It represents happiness, it represents comforts. What does this mean? Your comforts are dependent on the efforts that you put in. The second from any house is the wealth that you get from that house. So since the fourth house is second from the third house, it means you get comforts more and more when you put in more and more efforts in life. Now the 12th house from any house is the loss of that house. So the 12th house from the 4th house is the loss of the 4th house. So what is 12th from the 4th house? It is the third house. So when you put in a lot of efforts, you have to do a lot of sacrifices. Okay, which means you have to sacrifice your comforts or your 4th house to gain something in life. And therefore the third house is the loss of the 4th house. Now what is the second house? The second house is the house of wealth. It is the house of your assets. It also indicates your speech and the food you eat. And it is 12th from the third house. What does this mean? It means that if you don't put in substantial efforts, if you don't work hard, you are not going to gain lot of money, you are not going to gain lot of assets. And therefore the second house is called as a Marak Sthana, which means that if the second house is badly afflicted, it can give death-like troubles, right? If you live in abject poverty, then you may face death-like problems. And therefore the second house is the loss of the third house. The 11th house is ninth from the third house. And therefore what it means is, if you put in a lot of efforts, if you put in a lot of self-effort, then you get a lot of gains. Luck favors you. And therefore the 11th house is actually the bhagya or the destiny of the third house. Which means that the more efforts you put in, the more hard work you put in, the more your luck gets activated and more gains you get in life. In short, what I want to say is, if your third house is very strong, or say there are planets very strongly posited in the third house and the third house lord is well placed, then you have the capacity to put in a lot of efforts to change your destiny. Now the third house is also 11th from the 5th house. Okay, 11th is nothing but gains. So a good third house is the gain of the 5th house, which again means that You can get good children, good luck, only if you have put in a lot of efforts in your previous lives or even in your present life. So, the fifth house will get activated when you strongly activate your third house or your self effort. And therefore, luck shines on you when you start putting in efforts to achieve any task. Now, generally, many people come to me and they ask for astrological remedies, okay, and we give them mantras to chant, etc. Okay, but I have seen people who just keep on doing these things. They keep on wearing different types of rings, they keep on chanting different types of mantras, and you will find that in life, these are the people who are most miserable. And why does that happen? So, it is like these people are just doing it for fun. Okay, some of them try chanting the mantra of Shiva for a day, then they try chanting the mantra of Vishnu, then they try chanting the mantra of Durga. So there is no faith involved. Okay, it is just a trial and error game for them. And therefore, what happens is, it means the effort is not sincere, and therefore, you don't activate the ninth house or the destiny that is supposed to come to you. You are not doing things in the right way, you are not putting efforts in the right way. It is like a student has a very good yoga to get good marks in an exam, but he simply refuses to enter the exam hall. And of course, if he does not enter the exam hall, how will he write the exam paper? And the results will definitely not be in his favor. So often, when people come to us for astrological remedies, we give them mantras, we tell them to do donations, we tell them to serve the poor. Okay, but everything has to be done in a balanced way. You have to divide your day into the right slots. That is, you should have some time for exercise, some time for meditation, some time for study, some time for fun, some time to spend with your family, proper time to sleep, proper time to eat. Only when everything is balanced will your third house be strongly activated, and that will activate your destiny or luck, regardless of how the planets are placed in your horoscope. So, this reminds me of a short story. There was a great sage called Sage Brigu, and two people approached this sage and asked him to look at their palm and predict their destiny. So, the sage told the first person, called Sham, that you will become a great king in the years to come. And there was this other fellow, Ram, whom he told that you will become a pauper in the next 10 years. Hearing this, Sham was very happy. He did not put in any efforts. He continued enjoying his life. He just relaxed. And 10 years down the line, Sham became a pauper. But Ram put in lot of efforts, lot of hard work. And 10 years later, he reached the position of a king. Now 10 years later, both of them came back to Bhrigu Maharaj and they said, what have you predicted? You said, I would become a king and he would become a pauper. But instead, I have become a pauper and he has become a king. How is that possible? Bhrigu Maharaj simply smiled and said, you did not activate your third house. You did not put in proper efforts. Tao Destiny was supporting you. You did not channelize your efforts correctly, and therefore you have become a beggar. This person, he activated his third house. He put in a lot of efforts. He put in a lot of hard work. He overcome all the challenges that destiny gave him, and therefore he became a king. So this is the importance of the third house. Without your own self effort, you cannot really achieve anything, regardless of the remedies that you do or the rings that you wear. So remember that the third house is a very important house in Vedic astrology, and always remember your self effort is the most important thing in life, without which you cannot achieve anything. So friends, thanks a lot. If you like this video, please mark it as liked on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our channel, Kamath Astrology, please do so by clicking the subscribe button. For any queries, for any consultations, please email us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com and we'll be glad to assist you. So friends, thanks a lot. We'll see you soon shortly with another video. Till then, bye, take care.